Hi, Doc. New Blackberry cultivars, right?
Yeah,
Exciting, huh?
Yeah,
I like blackberries
and
too.
it is. It's a great time of year to think about the deliciousness that can be yours in summer, right?
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Yeah, so it's a great time of year to think about some of the bare root options. That early spring period is a really good planting time for a lot of our small fruits. And I did bring a few samples with me. You know, I love to transport plants in the car across the state. And so these are some examples of some of the new cultivar trials that we have going. And so we actually, in one of our research stations at UT, we actually have a 10 cultivar trial that was just, it's just close to a year old. So we're actually going to be getting fruit this summer in full volume. And so we have some of the traditional standards of blackberries, as well as some of the new cultivars that are coming on the market.
That's pretty good. Do y'all need anybody to come up and do any taste testing?
Oh, I really think that it will be. It will be. We've been calculating out what the tonnage is going to be, and we're thinking that there may be a little bit available for sampling.
All right. Good deal.
Yeah.
All right. So what did you bring us today to look at?
So I brought today a couple of examples of some of the new cultivars, but first I wanted to kind of point out a little bit about blackberry growth habits so that some of the cultivars and some of the things that we were talking about would make sense.
Okay.
So essentially, we call blackberries what we would say is biennial canes, right? Which means they live for 2 years. And so typically what will be bearing fruit will actually be what we call the floricane. This is a potted plant, so it is not 100% happy. The berries will be bigger, once it gets into full production and then in the ground. But the fact that there are berries on this cane means that this is actually its second year of growth. And so we call that a floricane. The first year of growth would be, you can kind of see this this taller guy here in the back, and so we would call this a primocane. So essentially it will grow vegetatively in the first year, and then it will flower and bear fruit in the second year, and then this cane will die back. And so that is kind of our standard blackberry habit. So if you have blackberries, in the backyard or in the woods, that's going to be their standard habit. And there are a lot of great cultivars that are on the market that are this traditional floricane bearing. And we live in the in the Mid-South, and it's a great climate for blackberries, but the breeding is really spreading that out so they can be grown in many parts of the country. Now they are cold weather sensitive, so there are some spots where you get down far below zero, we start to get a little bit dicey there. But there are many parts of the country that can work well for them. And typically, what will happen is we'll grow this primocane. Lots of times when it gets above our trellis system, because many of these will require a training system, we'll pinch the top out. That will encourage lateral growth. And from those laterals, next year will be where the fruit will be born. So
that's the lateral growth.
Yeah,
I got you.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Of course, this is an example of one that has not been pruned, and you can see the fruit growing from the top. But he will produce more fruit if he has more side shoots. So you can see that there is some management required. Well, the interesting thing that has, of course, been occurring in the breeding world for caneberries for the last few decades, really, is the opportunity to, instead of waiting for that second year to bear fruit, actually bear fruit on a first-year cane. So we call that primocane bearing, or that may be the geeky terminology for it. Lots of times you might see them referred to as fall bearing. And there have actually been fall bearing raspberries available for longer than blackberries. So if you've grown Heritage, if you've grown Caroline, those would be fall bearing, which means that they're going to grow and they're going to produce fruit on that first year of cane. There can be, of course, some marketing assets if you're a small grower. The benefit for a homeowner is that it can make management really simple, because you can just cut down all of the canes in the fall or the late winter. They will grow, they will produce fruit, you can cut them again before they grow the next year, and so it makes management really simple.
Man, that works out real good.
Yeah, and so we call those Primocane bearers. And now we actually have some that are available in Blackberries as well. And so this little guy right here is actually a cultivar called Primocane Freedom. Much of the blackberry breeding is coming out of the University of Arkansas. Not surprising, you know, they're a great crop for that part of the world. And so actually all of these are examples of crops that are coming out of the Arkansas breeding program. And so our trial, and what we're really looking at is Primocane versus floricane bearing, things like yield, quality, taste, quality, even, and how we're going to have different trellis systems, so how we support these canes, and we really want this information to be useful, certainly for small producers, but for homeowners as well, because there's a lot of that information that goes both ways, for the small scale commercial and for the homeowner. And so I brought a couple examples. I talked a little bit about Freedom as the Primocane bearer. Now, he may not get quite big enough to bear much on this first year, but under normal circumstances, you know, he would flower and bear fruit later in the season on a first-year cane. This is one of the newest cultivars that is on the market, and this is a cultivar named Ponca. And Ponca is one that we are especially excited about kind of in the world of small fruits because it is bred to have a very high soluble solids content. Sugar, for those of us who really like sweetness. And so it has been tested above 10%, 11, 12, 13% soluble solids. So it is very sweet.
It's gonna be good and sweet.
Yeah. For some of us, we love a straight up sweet berry, and so that's really where this breeding is going. This is a floricane bearer, but it is bred to be very high soluble solid. So when you think about blackberries, the blackberries that we might find wild or some of the older cultivars that have been in production for a while may have a little bit more of that acid balance. I kind of think eating blackberries is like eating tomatoes, Do you like straight sweet?
Right.
Do you want some acid balance? And where
that's a good point.
Yeah, and where this breeding is going is a little bit more straight sweet. But we're really looking forward to seeing how this plant grows and produces and how it tastes, along with the other 8 cultivars that are in that trial.
Yeah. Well, can't wait to see the results.
Yeah.
And maybe taste the results as well.
Yeah.
Quickly, any disease issues we need to know about? Or
so certainly some of the things that we pay close attention to when we think about disease management on blackberries. Now there are some stem diseases. Anthracnose would be one. We want to pay attention to what might be like a dieback that can occur, or stem blight when we make cuts and do pruning. So good sanitation. Good control of the health of those stems. One of of course there are protective fungicides that we can use. As a general statement, we don't really have a recommended schedule for a home blackberry. We would encourage folks to pay close attention, and if necessary, there are materials they can use. But one of the interesting things about Primocane versus floricane bearing is that you may really be able to reduce disease incidence overall by not carrying over that second year cane, which could provide an even simpler mechanism for controlling disease. There are certainly there are some leaf diseases as well, and we can even get into spotted wing Drosophila. We can even get into some insect issues for those later summer berries. But as a general statement, blackberries can be a great place to start when we think about fruit crops for the home garden.
Oh yeah, nice and sweet.
Yeah,
like that.
There are times when people will say, what kind of peach should I grow? And I'll say, I would recommend blackberries. Have you considered blueberries? So there are some ways that small fruits can be a great way to start, and kind of get your feet wet before the more challenging tree fruits.
Good deal. We appreciate that information. All right, it's good stuff. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please click the subscribe button below.